No one wanted the 3 orphan sisters at the auction, until a mail-order bride took them. In the auction hall smelled of dust and old wood, the kind of place where voices echoed longer than kindness ever did. On the front bench sat 3 sisters, hands clasped so tightly their knuckles were white. They had been washed and dressed that morning, hair brushed and ribbons tied, but nothing could hide the fear in their eyes. Emma, the oldest at 12, tried to sit straight like she was grown. She had promised herself she wouldn't cry. Beside her was Lily, 9, thin as a reed and shaking no matter how warm the room felt. The youngest, Rose, only 6, leaned her head against Emma's arm, thumb tucked into her palm. They had been orphans for 6 months, their parents had died during a hard winter, sickness moving faster than help ever came. Since then, the sisters had been passed from one temporary home to another, until finally, they ended up here, an adoption auction, as the town called it. Families came, looked, and bid for children they wanted to take in. 1 child at a time. That was the problem. Most families wanted a boy to help on the farm, or a single young girl who could be molded easily. 3 sisters together? Too many mouths to feed. Too much trouble. Too much history. The auctioneer cleared his throat. First group, 3 sisters. Strong, healthy. The oldest can already read and help with chores. Silence followed, people shifted in their seats. A woman whispered to her husband and shook her head. Another man laughed quietly and said, "All 3? No thank you." Emma swallowed hard. Lily's eyes filled with tears. Rose didn't understand what was happening, only that no one was coming forward. Any offers? The auctioneer tried again, voice less confident. None came. Minutes passed. Then the gavel struck. "We'll move on." It felt like a door slamming shut. 1 by 1, other children were chosen. The sisters watched as empty seats formed beside them. With every child taken, hope slipped further away. By late afternoon, the hall was nearly empty. The sisters remained. "That's it," Emma whispered, forcing strength into her voice. "We stay together. That's what Mama wanted." But when the caretaker approached, his face gentle but tired, the truth came anyway. "Girls, if no one takes you together, you may be separated." Lily broke down. Rose started crying, not knowing why, only feeling the pain around her. That was when the door creaked open. A woman stepped inside, travel dust clinging to the hem of her coat. She was young, maybe mid-20s, with tired eyes and a posture that suggested she had learned to stand alone in the world. Her name was Clara Whitmore. She had arrived in town that morning as a mail-order bride, promised in marriage to a widowed rancher named Thomas Hale. She had crossed hundreds of miles with nothing but a small trunk and a contract that offered her a home in exchange for becoming a wife. But Thomas Hale wasn't at the station to greet her. Instead, a neighbor told her he had gone into town for the auction. Curious and uneasy, Clara followed. She hadn't planned to step inside. She hadn't planned on seeing the 3 girls sitting alone, but the moment she did, something in her chest tightened. The hall was quiet now. The auctioneer was packing his papers. "They weren't chosen," he said when Clara asked. "Happens sometimes." Clara looked at the girls again. Emma met her gaze, protective and fierce despite her small frame. "They want to stay together," the caretaker added softly. "But no one wants all 3. Clara's heart raced. She had never imagined herself as a mother. She was barely sure she would be a wife. She had grown up poor, learned early that love often came with conditions, yet these girls weren't asking for love, they were just asking not to be torn apart. "Excuse me," Clara said, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. "What would it take for them to come home with me?" The caretaker blinked. "You, all 3? "Yes." "But are you married?" "Not yet," Clara answered honestly. "But I will be. And whether I am or not, I won't leave them here." Emma stood up slowly. "You'd take all of us?" she asked, disbelief trembling in her voice. Clara knelt in front of them. "Eye level." "If you'll have me," she said gently. "I can't promise riches. But I can promise you won't be alone." Rose reached out first, placing her small hand in Clara's. Lily followed. Emma hesitated, then nodded. That evening, when Thomas Hale returned to his ranch, he found something unexpected. Clara stood on the porch with 3 girls behind her. "I hope this isn't a problem," Clara said before he could speak. They needed a home. And I needed to do the right thing. Thomas stared, then sighed deeply. After a long moment, he smiled. "My late wife always wanted children," he said quietly. "Looks like fate found a way." Life on the ranch wasn't easy. There were scraped knees, tears at night, and memories that still hurt. But there was also laughter. Warm meals. Stories by lantern light. Clara learned to be a mother one day at a time. Thomas learned to open his heart again, and the 3 sisters learned something they had almost stopped believing, that family wasn't about being chosen at an auction, that it was about someone seeing you, and choosing you anyway.